All right. Buenos dias. Good morning. Sawadee kap. Sawadee tan chao. What's happening? Don't know who's out there. What is this? Oh yeah, I forgot about. Oh man, what is this? Holy moly! I forgot my friend from Japan is coming over here, and I guess he's here right now. And my former fighter is fighting his fighter. So hey, Alvin, what's happening? Which I want my guy to win, but I don't know. I haven't even looked into it. I haven't been following boxing much, but I just got the message. You have unread messages. No, I don't. Anyway, what's happening? Obviously, I'm in a different place today. Where's this? Let me get this out of the way here. Yeah, I'm in a different place today. Kids aren't here. They're training in Phuket, and I'm alone here. So I figured, hey, you know what? I might as well do something a little different and stream from down here. So anyway, down here in my living room where I've been binge watching shows and editing stuff at the same time. Yeah. So, what's happening? I take it everybody's okay. Richard, thank you very much. Appreciate it. You are the first of the day. And I have to say today is a very special day for me because my son turns 18 today. So happy birthday, Alex. I'm very happy and very proud of him. So let's see what's going on here. Well, the heat, of course, we always got to wonder about the heat. Wonder just how hot it is. It's always hot. Right now it's 89 degrees. High of 98 today. Feels like it's 89, feels like 100. And the wind is west-southwest, 9 miles an hour. Like I said, it's going to be a high of about 98. And actually, I sent my son a message telling him happy birthday. And he just sent me a message back saying thank you. So that's, thank you, Alvin. Thank you very much. So that's great. Nice day. He's having a nice time. And he sent some video footage of him and his brother training in the gym. And I've talked about this before, but it's just good because the guy who I used to work with is now older. He's married, got a kid. He's doing well for himself. He's not fighting very much. He's training. And so it's like, I'm watching everybody grow. I'm growing older. Everybody else is growing up. So, let's see. What about the air? The air has been actually fairly good lately. It's 88 right now, which is moderate, which is not great. But the last couple of days have been in the 20s, and I was down at Lumpini Park on Monday, and it was only like 23, which is fantastic. And, I've gone there a couple of times this week. Where's my coffee? I've gone there a couple of times this week. I talked about this guy the other day, but I met this old Thai Chinese guy. And he's 82 years old. And he goes every day to Lumpini Park to walk and exercise. And he has coffee and food with his wife. So I'll be doing a video about him. And also I went to Klong Tui, which I ran into a woman who was 86. another woman who couldn't remember how old she was. She said 80 something, maybe even 90 something. She couldn't remember how old she was. But that was pretty cool. So I've been having a good time the last couple of days. And anyway, so, I'm kind of waiting for Gennaro to come in to see if he comes in today, because I wanted to go over a couple of phrases and talk a little bit about Thai culture, because what I see a lot of, and what I was talking the other day to someone, actually to a couple of people, about how when people come here and they're not locals, whether they're staying here for a few months or they're staying here for, they've stayed here for a year or two, maybe a couple of years, most of them, hey Soy Dog Cowboy, most of them they haven't become local. And if they don't speak Thai, they never will be like a local. They will never have gone local. And so I was just thinking about that the other day. What makes me so different from a guy who's been here a year or two? Besides the fact that I've had more experience here. What makes me so different? Why am I so different? I'm not a Thai, obviously, and you will never be Thai here unless you were born to a Thai or you are born in Thailand. You will never be Thai. However, I was talking to a guy yesterday, and he was like, yeah, the thing is it takes years before someone really goes local. Almost always, it takes years and years before someone goes local. And, like for me, walking outside, going somewhere, talking to Thai people, asking them about situations is really second nature. In fact, sometimes I catch myself and I'm thinking in Thai. And the other day, Gennaro was asking about the word greng jai, the phrase greng jai. And, the Thai bar girls used to go, I greng jai you, or something like that. Instead of saying, Chan or whatever, putting it in a different way, they might just say, I greng jai. I greng jai him. I greng jai my boyfriend, or something like that. And it's not an easy phrase to translate literally. However, what I said was it's having extreme consideration for someone. And he said, like compassion. And so I have this book right here. It's called Heart Talk. And if you're going to get into Thai language, you want to learn about Thailand, you want to have a book that's a reference book for as long as you need it, or you want to have it, it's a great book to have. It's written by Christopher G. Moore, who is a pretty prolific writer here. I don't even know how many books he's written, but he was one of the first guys I read. He writes fiction mainly, but this, and there was another one about I think it was called Chairs. And it was about expats meeting together all the time, and then, they all sit together in their chairs and they have conversations and that kind of thing. But this one is nonfiction. And so I decided to look up Greng Jai to see what he wrote. Now, I know that consideration is something that is applicable or applicable with this phrase. And so I just thought, I'll at least be a little bit right. But it's much deeper than that. It means reticent, reluctant to impose consideration for others or a situation. And then, let me see if this is, where's it at here? Okay, so now this is very, it was enlightening to me. But, the reason I'm talking about the cultural aspect of Thailand is because even I get robotic. I get robotic, and I get to be just like, like everybody else. You get up, you do the same thing. You go do what you got to do for the day, whether it's go to a job, you go out and shoot photos, you go out and shoot video, you go and run errands, whatever it might be. You get into that same, into the same, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say a rut, but you get into the same pattern and the same, you do the same things every day. And sometimes you don't realize. And it took a couple of conversations I had with people to get me to realize that what I really like about Thailand is not so much that you have this freedom and that, nobody messes with you. Yeah, I like that. But I do like the more spiritual aspect of it, the more, the way that the routine, exactly. But my brain doesn't work sometimes. It's, I don't have the greatest of a memory. I wonder why. But anyway, like phrases like Jayin Yin, Maipen Rai, let me see something here. Maipen Rai, Jayin Yin, Sanuk. These kind of phrases are essential to Thainess. And so when you're, not to get, all educational and serious, but when you think about Thailand, if you don't incorporate these things into your way of thinking, then you will never, ever understand about Thailand at all. And what I see a lot of is people going through the motions. People who come here, they do their own thing, but they want to stay really westernized. And that's okay, because, I'm pretty westernized, but when it comes to interacting with Thais and in the country, you're living in their country. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. But those phrases I just brought up, and this phrase here, there's a few of them I'm going to go over. Grengchai basically translates into awe-jai, like in awe. There are few heart phrases more difficult to translate and explain. And there may be no other heart phrase more important than awe-jai, which is the heart of hearts of the Thai system. Oh, really? The phrase reflects something, a mingling of reverence, respect, deference, homage, and fear, which every Thai person feels towards someone who is their senior, their boss, their teacher, mother and father, a police officer, or, this is important, or those who are perceived to be a member of a higher social class. Okay? And there are women out there that I've talked to, many years ago, and I don't get it very often now. I can't remember the last time somebody's brought up Grengchai, but in the old days, when I was running around and going out to places and traveling around Thailand a lot, I would hear it, and it was women who would be saying things like, I Grengchai for my boyfriend or for my husband or whatever. Even me, they would say it to me sometimes, and I'd be like, huh? In the beginning, I didn't get it, and now I think I get it a little bit more. But it's important. It's an important phrase to understand Thai culture. In practice, a person with awe heart would be inhibited from questioning or criticizing. Now, this can be a bad thing also, because in school, if a kid thinks that he's right and the teacher is wrong, he may be apprehensive about telling the teacher, hey, I don't think you're right, challenging the teacher because of something like this. Awe heart is about acceptance of those in authority, what those in authority say and do and decide, and hoping for the best. One of the first songs school children learn is the importance of Grengchai. To say that someone knows Grengchai is to confer a substantial compliment. That is to be submissive to authority. Despite what I may say and what many others may say, I'm not one who likes to bow down to anybody in any authority, but there are times when, you just know, you better show the respect. If you go into immigration, you're dealing with a police officer, it behooves you to act with respect and deference. It just does. It's the best way, acting like an ass is not the way to get anywhere. Let's see here. To smile and never complain, and to never reveal feelings of disappointment or frustration. The public mask must, in other words, be one of perfect contentment. Now, you see, I don't buy into this, but I do understand it. On the opposite side, to say that someone does not know or practice Grengjai is a major insult. This person soon is labeled a troublemaker and is marginalized. And one of the things that I brought up the other day was how, and I was taught this a long time ago when I first came here, you have two workers at work. And one lady is a great worker. She does her job very, very well. But she has a hard time. She has a hard time getting along. She doesn't really. She's not really a team player. And then there's another woman who is a team player, and she's very pleasant and happy, and she gets along with everybody. But she's a lousy worker. Now, given the choice of who to get rid of, who are they going to get rid of? In the United States, you'd get rid of the woman who wasn't the most productive. Okay? That's what you do. In Thailand, it's expected that you are not a troublemaker. You are not someone who's going to rock the boat. You are expected to be a team player and to understand the chain of command, and thus not challenge the people all the time and make trouble. So here in Thailand, they would keep the woman who is not a great worker, and they would let go of the person who was a great worker, but who had, who had an attitude problem. Let me see if I can fix this here. Looks like it's working okay, eh? So I kind of wish that Gennaro was here, but he'll be able to listen to this later on. What the hell's going on with this? Yeah, again, the internet is up and down. Now, I'm not connected to the fixed line today, but it does seem to be working halfway decently. That's interesting that the Big Bang Theory incorporated Grengjai into one of their episodes. I don't know if they had somebody Thai in the episode or whatever, but that's interesting. Let's see if I can find the other words that I was going to look at here. Okay, this is a really easy one. Well, there's two of them, actually. Dijai, like, oh, Dijai Chang Lui, which means like, oh, my heart is so happy. I have such a happy heart. That's a very simple one. It's glad heart. Actually, Sukjai is happy, is a happy heart, and it's Suk is to feel or to know and to be comfortable. But let's see here. This is the emotional feeling of gladness. Gladness may arise in many circumstances, including when someone is getting their just desserts. If Lek is evil and bad and comes to a nasty end, those who suffer the result of Lek may feel dijai over his fate. If Lek is a lovable, kind, decent person and something goes good in his way, such as a job promotion, those connected with Lek will feel dijai for his success. Another person is dijai for not complaining in the face of adversity. So there's another phrase right there that is very common in Thai culture, Dijai. Sukjai is not as common, and it's just happy heart. And then there was one more I was just going to go over real quick, if I can find it. Okay. Yeah. Jingjai, or Kwam Jingjai, which is truthful heart. Well, not everybody is, good to their grandmother or to their family. You know what I mean? But yeah, I understand what you're saying, and yeah, you may be right about that. If you are a decent person and you're showing extreme reverence to her and consideration for how she feels and what she's doing, and Yeah, that's an example of it. But the Jingjai is a very common phrase also. Kwam Jingjai is if one desires for others to believe that they are sincere, they are asking them to believe that they possess Kwam Jingjai. One's lover, spouse, friends, and children, hey Lori, wish to believe he or she is sincere in his or her words and action. This is a common heart phrase which indicates the importance that Thais place on sincerity. So that's something, like if you've got a girlfriend, a new girlfriend, and you can speak some Thai and you want to talk to her and you want her to believe you. You say, no,ผมไม่เจ้าชู้ก็ความจริงใจmy heart is sincere. I'm being honest to you. I'm being sincere with you. I'm being truthful. So that, like it said here, this is a common phrase. I didn't really spend too much time looking around because I didn't want to get into this too much, but Jai On is a sensitive heart, which I think is kind of funny. You don't hear that very often. But if a guy says to a woman, when are you going to Jai On, Jai On Murai, when are you going to be sensitive to me and feel for me and be I guess open to interaction? When are you going to show your affection? That kind of thing. It's very interesting, but I really haven't heard that very often. In all the years I've been here, I've only heard that a couple of times. And but so that's kind of interesting. So anyway, those words, the heart in Thai culture, no, these are the same ones. These are the same old beat up glasses. I'm keeping them until they fall apart. So, but like I said, so the heart, like Jai Di, Jai Dum, Jai Lai, if you're Jai Di, then you're good-hearted. If you're Jai Dum, you're black-hearted. If you're Jai Lai, you're very emotional, very hot-headed. So, those phrases and these words are important in Thai culture. And if you learn those, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, how has Thailand changed me over the years? And when it comes to dealing with Thai people, I've changed a lot. Now, when it comes to foreigners, if somebody's an asshole to me, then generally I'm going to be an asshole to them because I'm still Western. But when it comes to the Thais, I know that there is a different method of interacting with them. And for the most part, I'd say about 99.9% of the time, I don't lose it now. I'm able to control myself and just talk to them. And I may not like what they're doing or what they're, how they're acting or whatever. And I think it was Bruce the other day we were talking, and he was saying something about you have to be firm, like a firm argument or something like that, but you don't want to go over the top. You don't want to push too much. There is a fine line, and I think that's another thing. There are some people who will never challenge anybody in their whole life. They're just not that confrontational type of a person. But there are many people who, if they think they're being wrong, they're going to say something. They're going to stand up. But the way that you approach it in Thai culture versus the way that you approach it in Western culture tends to be different. And I think that's why many Thais, when a foreigner gets aggressive with them, the Thai will go off on him because he's not used to it. It doesn't happen all that often. And I'm not saying that it never happens or everything is like this all the time, but if you think about it, traffic is organized chaos. Now, Thais aren't the greatest drivers, but somehow, with all the cars like in Bangkok, they somehow manage to get around. with all the traffic, with all the different modes of transportation. You think about it, you don't see people brawling in the street very often. If you're in New York or LA or some big city, you might see that. You might see somebody, start brawling. Very seldom do you see it here. In all my years here, I don't think I've seen more than 2 or 3 fights between Thais. Unless maybe they wanted to go at it for some reason, that's a little different. But I'm talking about a spur-of-the-moment interaction. The taxi drivers, I talked about how there was a taxi driver a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago. It might have been 10 years ago. Who I was telling him to go a certain way. And he didn't go that way. Now, he was an older guy. I was about 45 at the time. And he was probably about 58, maybe 60. And I was telling him, hey, you got to go left. And then he didn't go. And I said, okay, whatever. So then I told him, okay, well, up ahead, I want you to take a left and make another left. And then that way you'll be right back to where you got to go. And again, he didn't do it. And he's telling me, no, I know how to go. And I said, listen, I don't care if you know how to go or not. I'm telling you, I want you to go this way. And he turned around and smacked me. So I knocked him out. And I got out of the taxi. He stopped the car. He had stopped the car, and I punched him. And because he smacked me, and I didn't like it. It was immediate. It was like he smacked me, boom, I went back and I knocked him out. And I felt a little bad, but I thought, you can't operate this way. So I got out of the taxi, started walking away, and I was about 20 feet away from the taxi, and the guy jumps out with a machete. So I dropped my bag, and I ran, 50 feet away or whatever. And then I thought to myself, what the hell is this guy's problem and maybe I don't think he was being genuine. I think it was he wanted to run up the meter, which, listen, if you tell a taxi driver, please turn left here, and he understands you. It's very easy to say turn left, turn right, or turn up ahead, or whatever. If he doesn't do it, there's a reason why he's not doing it. It's either because he's got his head up his ass, or because he's trying to run up the meter. So for him, getting another 50 or 100 meter baht may be a lot of money. He does that a couple times a day or a couple times a week, and he makes some extra money. I didn't like it. And that's very unlike Thais to do that, to just haul off and hit you. But, I was trying to tell him, I was like, oh, no, go here. Bah! I was like, what the And the taxi drivers, taxi drivers don't tend to be of the... In a part of society that is what you would call middle class or upper class. Most of them they're not doctors, they're not studying to be a doctor, they're not a professional, they're not the head of an organization, they may be a police officer trying to get extra money, or some student, but what I find now is that the better drivers, the more polite, more upscale drivers tend to be the drivers who are in Grab taxi. The Grab taxi drivers tend to be, if you just get like a Grab car, they tend to be the people that are working 3 jobs, or they're trying to work themselves through school or whatever it might be. The regular taxi drivers, they tend to be from the lower rung of the ladder in society. They don't have a lot of options. And so what I think is that they get frustrated. They get frustrated with their life. They get frustrated with, maybe their wife isn't happy. Maybe they don't like driving people around all the time. And then when some foreigner comes in, and the foreigner says to them, hey, buddy, you're going the wrong way. They're like, who are you to tell me about my country? And this is, to me, a faulty logic. It's a faulty way of thinking. Because what that says is just because you are driving in an area right now, that because you're Thai, you know about this area better than the foreigner who lives in this area or is in the area. You know what I mean? Like, just because you're a foreigner doesn't mean you don't know the area better than the taxi driver. So they get pissed off, though, when they hear that. And obviously, that's not a good thing. You don't want to piss off the taxi drivers. You don't want to piss off anybody here, because usually it only leads to trouble. So there are some different components to Thai-ness. And this has been debated many times, and many people have different views on what makes up Thai-ness. So I'm kind of curious to know. There's a lot of people here I know that Richard, Lori, Alvin, well, everybody here pretty much that is communicating has been here before. So I'm curious to know what is your view of what is being Thai? What is, to them, what is Thai-ness? What is being Thai comprised of? We're getting all intellectual today. Let's see who the first to raise their hand is. Who's the first with a good answer? Yeah, it's a big question. But you know, there are many things that, or there's several things that that Thai. You just like polite people. Well, that's a form of how you carry yourself, you know, being polite and interacting with other people, a form of communication. And if you notice, one thing about Thais is that most of the time, if they don't speak English, they're very shy to communicate with you, almost to the point where they dread talking to you or dread being near you, because you can't communicate with them and they can't communicate to you, and so they don't want to feel like they're sitting there going, you know. You know, the other day when I went to Lumpini, I saw this place. It's called the Glass House, and so I walked out. There's a little pier, and there was this massive monitor lizard that was dead, but there was these two ladies standing there, and you know, they said hello, and I walked by them, and I'm doing my thing and looking around, and then one of them said something like, you know, where you come from, and then I started speaking Thai, and you could just visibly see her. She just relaxed. It was like, oh, he speaks Thai. She, you know, her English wasn't all that good, but then I started talking to them, speaking with them in Thai, and it was very simple for them. It was very easy then. They were like totally relaxed. So I think communication is part of it, but you know, there's different dialects in the country, but the Thai language bonds people together. So I think that that's one of the keys. And I don't think Thais think a lot about communication, you know, in the sense of we need to communicate well, communicate properly. I don't know. Maybe some businesses, I wish Bruce was here. He could give me a better idea of, but I know that with the businesses that I've dealt with, you know, everything was kind of assumed, and it was just assumed that you knew, or you just learned. You just learned by the actions that they took, the people took, your superiors or the people who were in authority or in charge of the event or whatever. Well, that's what you did. So a couple of other things. Obviously, food is very important to Thai culture and to Thai-ness. Food is a huge part. It bonds people together. Yeah. Well, I mean, you should be gracious to everybody. I mean, you know, you try to be respectful and courteous and polite to everybody. And it's not always easy, for sure. But people like hotel room attendants and cleaning crew, I've never had a reason to be difficult with them and to be harsh, to speak harshly with them. I can't think of any time that I've ever had a reason to be snippy with them. So that's something else that, but that has to do with communication and the way you carry yourself, and that is ingrained in Thai culture. Is that this is the whole Grenjai thing also. Even though you are, they are. I don't know that is something that they. I mean, I look at it this way. If somebody really wanted to take over Thailand, they would. Okay? And, I think somebody, if they wanted to, they would. I don't think there's a whole lot Thailand could do about it. I think it would be brutal, and they would fight their asses off, and because of that, they will always be they're like most nationalities. They're if somebody comes to your home and they start going after you or trying to conquer you, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to fight. So this is the thing. This is a huge thing that people don't really think of. My Thai is probably advanced intermediate. With a year of Thai, it would be advanced. I probably would consider myself to be advanced. But, thank you to whoever. That was a subscription. Why is I don't like it that the subscriptions show up in the little doodad there. I gotta take that out. Hang on a second. Okay, let's see. If you don't speak Thai, then you will never know. You will never get to the anywhere near the heart of Thainess. That's my opinion, and I think there's a lot of people that would agree with that. So that's very important. The other thing, and I already talked about it, is having fun. Most of the time when you see Thais at work, they tend to be, they try to have a little bit of joy. They try to smile. They try to have fun when they're doing their work. It doesn't always, they're not always like that, but a lot more, I would say, it's incorporated into their way of thinking when they're on the job. And I'll give an example, but I was in a coffee shop the other day, and the boss was reaming out a couple of the people, and everybody in the whole place was silent. There was no smiling. There was no sanook. Everybody's just kind of with their head down. They didn't want to look up and whatever. Once the owner left, it took a few minutes, but then the next thing you know, they're joking about it and they're laughing and they're back to their normal selves. So that's another part of Thainess, is having sanook and having fun in whatever you're doing, whatever it might be that you're doing. Okay, another portion is the way of life. Another category, another part of the equation is the way of life, the way of thinking. Thais don't think like we do, and we don't think like Thais do. Let me see something. Okay, this is from Richard. I think that the best way that I could explain what it means to be Thai is to understand your position in the hierarchy and conduct yourself according to that position and to the satisfaction and pride of your ancestors. I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but conduct yourself according to the position and to the satisfaction and pride of your ancestors. Yes. Understanding your position in the hierarchy. Now, if we're talking about work, most definitely, you must. In many places, you will always see a flow chart. You will see a chain of command on the wall. If you go into a hospital and you go into a certain department, almost inevitably, you will see on the wall who is the head of that department, who's under them, and then they'll show everybody underneath it. When it comes to everyday life, now think about something. Why is it that, Gennaro, good morning. Why is it that when you go somewhere and there are, say, middle to upper class Thais? I'm not saying high, so I'm talking about some people with some depth to them, with a bit of class. That they generally treat you very well. They're very polite. If you are dealing with somebody like a taxi driver or a motorbike driver, now for the most part, the motorbike drivers are okay, but once in a while they can be difficult. But why is it with them? They tend to have attitudes more like, hey, you're just some stupid farang in my country, and I know better than you, so I want to go this way. And that's the way I'm going to go. And you try to tell them, no. Now, if you know how to speak to them, it's very easy to say, no, you need to go the way that I want you to go, because, that's what I want. And if they're halfway decent, they'll listen to you. But you get some guys who, they act like they're doing you this big favor because they're driving you to where you want to go. And they're taking you the way that they want to take you. And if you really know the area, you may know certain shortcuts that they don't know. So I don't always agree with the assessment that, not all taxi drivers are difficult. Not all of them are, out to take you to the cleaners. I think that the system is broken. The taxi system here is kind of broken, and I think that's why Grab has largely taken over. So, and it was so nice the other day when I went to Lumpini and I went to Klang Tui, where I got to the MRT station. The MRT was free because of the coronation. And so I took the MRT to Lumpini, got out, did what I had to do, got right back on. Took that to Klang Tui, and then I didn't want to walk because it was so hot, and it was a little bit away from the MRT, so I just got a little motorbike. It cost me 40 baht. I went to the slums. So it cost me like 80 baht, or I think it was 80 baht plus 12 baht for the Songtao. It cost me, like for $3 or something, $4. I went all the way to Klang Tui from my house, which if you take a taxi, it's an hour to hour and 15, maybe 30 minutes. Depends on the traffic. So it was very interesting, but it was also very nice to not be reliant on the taxis. And, several times my wife and I have talked about, maybe we should get a car and all that kind of stuff. I said, when we move, when we get a house, and the house is paid for, there's no reason why we can't have a car that we use once in a while. But there's no reason to use it all the time if you're in Bangkok, and even if you're outside in other cities. There's a lot of cities, they all have Songtaos. They have their own little buses. They have ways to get around. So, it's that's just a small part of the equation. The transportation is awesome in Bangkok, and I like that. The other thing is the festivals, and the holidays. If you know anything about Thailand, there are a lot of festivals. There's a lot of holidays. Songkran is obviously a huge one. Loi Krathong is another one. There's many. I can't even keep up with them. There's the Rocket Festival. There's The balloon festival. There's the festival I went to in Suratani, which I don't even remember the name of. There are all kinds of things going on, and every month. In fact, I'm going to look right now. Let me see something here. So if you're into them, let's see here. Okay. There's the Lantern Festival, the Water Festival, the Ghost Festival, the Rocket Festival, the Elephant Festival, Water Buffalo Racing, the Vegetarian Festival, the Monkey Banquet. Let's see here. Where am I at? The Monkey Banquet. I try to stay away from monkeys. Yeah, the Mekong Naga fireballs. Obviously, the Chinese New Year. Then there's Mother's Day and Father's Day. There's the Candle Festival. There's always something to do. If you wanna take a little trip for a weekend or for a couple of days or whatever, there's always something to do. So that's another part, and that to me that kind of goes hand in hand with having fun. Yeah, they're pretty gnarly. I mean, people have gotten hurt before with those rockets because something wasn't right. And then, if you think about it, things like Thais may not be as into going to what? Hello from Wisconsin, USA. Follow your channel. I'm going to the Philippines, but a lot still applies. Yes, and I let the ad run. What? What ad run? Oh, the ad. Oh. I don't even think about that because the ads in the ads really don't earn that much money anymore. I don't even think about it. It's negligible, But thank you. I was just talking to a guy yesterday about the Philippines, and what he likes is the fact that the Filipinos speak English. And like I said, well, I mean, if you go, and he lives in Vietnam, and he speaks some Vietnamese, and like I said, hey, listen, it's nice to go somewhere and they speak English, but it's also, like for me, for the most part, I almost never have a problem communicating in Thai. So if you learn the language, and you have, between their English abilities, whether they're limited or not, and your own language abilities, it's very easy to communicate if you really want to, I'm not talking about, me, I love you so much, me, I take care of you a long time. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. Another aspect is wellness. Things like Thai massage and all the spiritual things that they do, they do this thing where they spray water on you, and they do the cupping, and they do all kinds of stuff like that. But mainly the massage and, oh, thank you, Dre. Thank you very much. You are the first super chat of the day, which is good luck here in Thailand. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let me see here if I can find this. Wisdom, and that, to me, the wisdom is the respect of the elders, the respect of your elders and tradition. This is what Richard was talking about. I think that's very important because, one thing you may not realize here in Thailand, if you come here and you're here and you start to find your way through the culture, is in the beginning, you might not realize that the person that you're dealing with at a particular shop might be the great-grandson of the person who opened the place, and that family has owned that business for years and years and years. And so when you go in there, if you want something, they'll be your best friend or they'll be your worst enemy. I mean, it just depends on how you can get along with them. But people forget that. You know, they think like in the United States, a lot of times you go to a place and you know, you go buy something and maybe you have an issue and you go back and you're dealing with somebody different, and then the next thing you know, the person you originally dealt with doesn't even work there anymore. Here, man, people tend to stay for many, many years at their jobs if they can, you know, if they're happy with the money. So that's something else to consider. Let me see something here. Yeah, when you think about the like the Thai arts, they have a lot of different things. Thai boxing, of course, and the Ram Muay or the Y Crew, which takes place before every fight, is to pay homage to the teacher and also to the forefathers of the teacher. And so, you know, these kind of things passed along are what's very important. But, you know, the religion is passed down. Just like, where was that place I went to where they had all the scrolls from hundreds of years? I can't remember where it was. But they kept everything that was written by the monks. Well, I mean, you know, being respectful is always something important in any culture, I think. You know, being respectful and how you speak to... You can get away with saying things to somebody, but it's how you say it to them. So I think that's very important. But, you know, I don't know about the eye contact. I don't think there are some Thais who may not particularly like you staring at them. And some of them, you know, if you ever hear a Thai say to you, "Mang tamai," you know, like, why are you staring at me? Why are you gawking at me? That's not a good thing to hear from somebody, from a Thai. You don't want to hear that. You know, this internet's up and down again. Up and down. Let me see if I can get this here. If there's anything I can do to fix this. But, you know, the main point that I wanted to make is just that, you know, when you come here, you can argue all you want about, you know, do you live here, do you not live here? How long is it before you live here? What's the difference between staying somewhere and living somewhere? You know, these kind of things. You can argue that, you can debate that until you're blue in the face. But there is no debate that if you are the kind of person who just you don't integrate, you don't ingratiate yourself into the culture, you don't accept it and start to try to understand. You may never understand some of the things, but you become accepting of it. That's when you start to really transcend from being somebody who just kind of is here and to somebody who is actually starting to learn and get in deep into the culture. Talking to somebody but not looking. Yeah, I don't think I don't think that people here really care about that all that much. If you think about it, there's a lot of girls, a lot of women who will be helping you at their job. They'll be helping you, whether it's at a counter or whatever, and they're looking at their phone. They're not looking at you. And it is rude, but it's not that big of a deal. You just give me what I got to, let me pay, let me do whatever, and let me get out of here. If you're hanging out with somebody and all they're doing is they're on the phone and talking to you and looking at their phone, they're going like this. Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, okay. Well, obviously that's rude. And they do that here. But they do that in America. At least Many places they do that. I mean, you want to talk about rude. Rude is when there's a line at 7-Eleven and a guy just steps right in front of you, or I've had it happen a couple of times where I was at the post office mailing some stuff out, and some older woman just comes right in. I'm talking to the girl, speaking to her in Thai, telling her, this is what I want, this is what I need. Where's my doodad at? This is what I need, and, go for it. I need it. And the woman, an older woman, will come in and just say, I want this, and I want that, and how about this, and how much is that, and how much? And then the girl starts talking, and sometimes it's irritating. And you just got to go, hey, can you please take care of me? Because they don't want to be rude to the woman who's talking to them, maybe because they're older than me or they're older than that person, so they feel like they've got to give that respect. But in giving respect to that one person, they might be being rude to somebody else, but they don't consider it that way. Some people will take the initiative and go, excuse me, one moment, please. Let me take care of this. And then the lady will just, they a lot of times they may not, to them it's automatic. I don't know. But I mean, I'm sure that everybody who's been here has had the experience when they go into a 7-Eleven and somebody kind of just like steps right in front of them, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm in line here. And what are you going to do? I mean, a couple of years ago, I'd think to myself, you son of a... But, I think that a lot of times they're just oblivious to it. They just don't know. So then what you do is you just step right in front of them, and then they get the idea. No, I'm in front of you. Get behind me. But there's a way to go about doing it. If you just haul off and sock the guy, then that's not going to work. What else? Yeah, the Thai arts. That's what Thailand is really well known for. And if you go to CASHAPP, like I did the other day, you will see it. You will see a lot of culture in CASHAPP. Because the Thais, they know that their culture is liked. There's a lot of people who love Thai culture. And so they export it, Now, something else, Gennaro, you're here. We were talking about the Grengjai earlier, I think before you came in, and how it basically means reluctant to impose, and it means consideration for others and for situations. That's pretty much what it means. But it's a complex concept, and one that is taught from a very young age, where you should respect your elders, respect authority, because that's what you do. But what was the thing that the word farang. Now, personally, I think that being called a farang in itself is not a bad thing. However, if it's said in a malicious way, that's different. Like that stupid farang. That's not good. They need to learn to be able to speak better. And I think that people are still taught from a very young age to use the word farang. And so it's very nice when you hear somebody use the polite phrase instead of saying, farang, how, เขาไม่ได้ทำอะไร, like this farang he never did anything, or ฝรั่งไม่ได้ไปไหน, he never goes anywhere. Farango. You know, he's stupid. Stupid Farang, you know. When it's used in that context, it's definitely not a good thing. Now, there's a lot of debate about where the word originated from. But before I get into that, I had a page here. Let me see if I can find it. What is this? Yeah, see, this is about Mipe and Rye. It can be approximately translated as "it does not matter" or "it is not a problem." The expression reflects Thai people's attitude towards themselves, the people they come into contact with in the world around them. Excuse me. Almost everybody and everything is acceptable to the Thais. They're very tolerant people, which is why, in my opinion, they don't have many problems with religions here, for the most part. Objections and conflicts are to be avoided at all costs. Thai people are known for their tolerance and compromising nature. This cultural trait can perhaps be traced back to the linguistic experience of the Thai people. I'm not going to get into all that. Okay, so here we are with the heart again. We're talking about the heart again. Let's see if I can find it. Huadi means good head. You have a good head, like you're intelligent. Jaidi, you've got a good heart. You're generous, kind. Huaan, obedient. It means you're soft-headed. You're not stubborn. Jaion, sensitive, having a tendency to cry easily, or you're soft-hearted. Huakang, stubborn, hard-headed. Jai Kang, it means you have your heart is very rigid. So that's what I mean about some of these phrases are like siat jai. Oh, siat jai. You know, you might hear oh, song san. You might hear Thai women say these kind of things sometimes because they feel bad for somebody. You know, they pity them or something like that. They pity the person. Grengjai, to give high priority to how another person feels or thinks about something. To be respectful to a person's heart. Thais are taught from an early age to Grengjai other people, which means they have to be careful with what they say and what they do so that they will not in any way offend, upset, and displease others. Now that would be very dead on there. That's how they are. Conclusion. Okay, now as far as where's this guy at here? I had this. Is this it? Yeah, I didn't find it there. All right. So there's this guy. His name is Glyn Williams. He's dead now. But he is a very he's a very well-known linguist. Let me see something here. He taught linguistics at, I think, Thammasat University. He died about 20-something years ago. All right, let me see something here. What happened to that? All right, I don't see that. Let me see here. So this guy's name was Glyn Williams. He was he taught linguistics, Faculty of Liberal Arts at Thammasat University, and he was under the impression that the Thai most likely borrowed the word from influential Muslim, Persian, or Indian traders in the 17th century or even earlier. The Persian word was farang. The term was probably used to refer to early Portuguese traders and subsequently to all Europeans, i.e. non-Muslims. So that's kind of interesting because the whole, it just comes from France. It is in fact a popular misconception. That's what I've found in doing a little bit of research here. I had another page. This one guy wrote, I am inclined to believe that farang is from the Persian farangi, foreigners, and spread eastward along Muslim trade routes. There's many, many people who believe this, and that's kind of what I believe. I don't believe it's just about the French. Namjai. Namjai is, what's the phrase for it? Fulfilled or content. Let me see if I can find it here. See what Christopher Moore says here. It's translates into a feeling of being pleased with oneself. What is pleasing to another may not be necessarily a good result for another. For example, someone who exacts revenge by taking another life may feel sajai. On a more joyful note, members of an audience at a concert may experience a communal joyfulness or satisfied heart while listening to the music. In this case, in the Persian, feeling sajai has become the active agent in bringing this feeling of satisfaction. Sajai is another word, is another meaning connected with justice. But basically it means to be content with yourself or to be happy with, pleased with yourself. There's a lot of, this is a great book. Fantastic book. You know, if you want to learn a little something about, I always look at this thing, like Jaidio. Here's one right here. You know, like if you're hanging out with some people and somebody says to you, how many girlfriends do you have? And you say, oh, Jaidio. You know, like, I only have one heart. My heart is only for one person. There's only room for one person, that kind of thing. The butterfly does not have one heart. Another example of usage would be if Ning's husband dies and she does not seek another husband or partner, she also may be said to possess Jaidio. Having one heart is a phrase commonly heard in conversations about relationships. That's another very popular phrase. And something, if you want to learn about Thai culture and you want to be good to a woman, you want to learn that phrase and at the right time. I mean, sometimes it depends on the woman you're with, but like if I was to tell my wife that now, my wife would laugh at me. She would be like, "What? Why are you saying that?" She would just be like, "Well, why don't you just tell me in English what you want to say?" She would laugh. But if you're with somebody and you're learning the Thai language and you're new in a new relationship or something and you say no, my heart's only for you, Jaidio. That's pretty good to do that. Where are we at here? 10:15, 10:10. So yeah, I don't know how people here in this chat think about the word farang. But, there are some people who hate being called farang. If some little kid goes, oh, farang, then, what are you going to do? You're going to get mad at the kid? You're going to get mad at him, but you get mad at his parents. But they're not going to run up to you and go, oh, you've been kontang chat. They're not going to say that to you. They're not going to say it in a polite way because they're speaking in little kid talk. And for them, that's... farang. And I think it really does matter how somebody says something. It's a matter of the context that they use it. But I said the other day where I was in the bank or whatever, and the girl said, "Oh, kontang chat," and then she went into another whatever she was saying, "Kapan kontang chat," and it was very polite. She was being very proper and polite, and so there is a very big difference between the way that there is a big difference between the way a educated, proper, upper middle class, to say hi so Thai, will speak most of the time, as compared to hey, what's up? As to somebody who's from the farm, the way that they speak, the quality of their Thai may not be nearly as high as the person who's educated and who's been around and who knows exactly what to say. I don't know why it works that way, but I don't think education is everything, but I do think that when you start to speak with people who are more highly educated, I'm talking about bankers, lawyers, doctors, they don't speak in, they don't use as much slang that's going to be derogatory. I'm not saying they don't intentionally. I'm not saying people intentionally do that. Like, they don't say, "Hey, Farang," you know. But like a guy who's a motorbike driver and who comes from, say, Boridam, and who, you know, barely finished 4th grade or something, he may not know any better than, or he may not think it's a big deal. But when you get that person in with, say, a group of highly respected doctors or politicians or whatever they are, highly respected people who are considered to be of a level much higher than that person in society, they will clam up most of the time and speak very, very softly, and you know, they're not going to. They will do their best most of the time to say as little as possible, because sometimes some of them, they do not know how to function in that kind of an atmosphere because they've never been in it, you know. Which, I mean, it happens all around the world where you got people who are, you know, from one social stratus, and then you got a much lower level, and they can't mix, or at least at first they can't mix because they just don't know any better, you know. So, you know, in the end, it's not that big of a deal when someone uses the word. You shouldn't make it a big deal because for whatever reason they may not know any better, or they may just be so accustomed to saying it. Anytime they're referring to somebody who is a foreigner, that, you know, it's a habit. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is the two-tiered pricing. And I haven't really had any problems with this in quite some time. But I know that people that visit have this problem, and technically it's not supposed to happen anywhere except in a place like a national park or whatever, something owned by the government. But it still does. And so, you know, sometimes that can be, you know, some people take it as a slap in the face, and I understand that. Because it is, I don't want to say, I don't know, you know, like in most Westerners, if you were to go to, if you're in the United States and you go to another, let's say that you are a Chinese American, and you're on a trip, you live in China, you're born to an American parent, but you come to the United States, and because you look Chinese, the people want to charge you more money. They go nuts. You know, they don't like that. Now here, the people don't like it either. You don't have to go into some of these things. And, you know, it seems to me for the last couple of years I've had very good results. I mean, people have been very cool about it. They haven't been difficult. But Um, you know. Well, obviously, dual pricing doesn't really bother that many people, though, because they continue to do it. Lori, you still here? I guess not. Oh, Jesus. Now we're talking about Lana culture. Completely different from much different thing. You're very interested in this, in the cultural aspect of Thailand, aren't you, Gennaro? No, not. It's not geared towards only the tourist spots. You know, Thais go to these places too. So maybe Thai tourists, but I mean, there's a lot of national parks. It's predominantly Thais, and yet they're charging 10 times what they charge. They're charging foreigners 10 times what they charge the Thais. Yeah, and you know the thing is that sometimes that is correct, and sometimes it's not correct. I mean, you know, you got guys they saved up for 2 years, 3 years. You got young guys who are like, they save up enough for a ticket, and they got $1,200 or something to last them for a month, and then they come to Thailand, and you got, they've got to pay more money. I mean, I don't think that it's. I don't want to say it's unfair, but I think Thailand they definitely are looking for people who aren't poor. They're not looking for people who are living off of $500 a month. They don't want that. They don't want some guy who's a backpacker. I don't think they want a backpacker to come here with $500 and stay here for a month. That's not the kind of tourist that they want. They want people who are going to spend money and inject it into the economy. Now, where I think that they have, where they err, is to believe that many of the foreigners who are coming here have far more money than they do. Because, I mean, what are you going to, there are guys who come here to travel and they bring $10,000 to stay for 6 months or 3 months. And, when you break it down, they're not spending all that much more money than, say, a middle-class Thai. I think if they were to stick to, say, national parks, government-type exhibits and tourist spots, and they were to do the dual pricing there and only there, what it does is it influences the smaller businesses to charge more money. And listen, it's an open market. It's a free market. But sometimes they're very difficult about it, and I don't think they should be. I mean, sometimes it's just ridiculous. And I tell the story The only time when it really pissed me off was when I went to this rock. I don't remember where it was. I think it was in South Thailand. There was a rock that has these. Well, that's what I do. And if there was a rock, this huge rock, and they had these. What do you call them? They're fossilized. Like crab and oysters and all these things in the rock. And so I was going to go in, and it was something like, for Thais it was like 30 baht, and for foreigners it was like 300 baht. And it was only like, you could walk around in the place for 15, 20 minutes. You could stand there on the edge of the rock and see the ocean and that kind of thing. But for the most part, it really wasn't worth 300 baht at all. And so I told my wife and my kids, I said, go ahead, I'm not going. I'll walk around here. There's like a little village area, and where they basically were selling stuff, and they had coffee shops and little restaurants and stuff. I was like, I'll just walk around. When you guys are done, you'll find me. And that's what, that's the thing. I didn't want to pay. Now, I've been to the ancient city numerous times. And at first they want to charge me. Then when I start talking to them and everything like that, then it's no problem. They just let me ride in for the Thai price. Well, you're talking about tourists. I'm not talking about just tourists. I'm talking about people that live here too. See, you guys are talking about tourists. Tourists, I can agree on many fronts. But for expats, and I'm not talking about an expat who comes here and he's living here on a tourist visa or something like that. I'm not talking about somebody like that. I'm talking about somebody who either has residency, has a long-term visa, whatever, something like that. To me, those people, they should not be paying 10 times the price of a Thai. You won't find many guys who are expats go into a taxi and the taxi driver says 600 baht to go over there. And, but if you get in the taxi, it's going to cost you 50 baht. They're not going to do it. They're going to be like, turn the meter on. It's very easy to say, oh, well, it's wrong, or I think it's right. But in the end, I mean, of all the times I've been to Thailand, I go to the same spots. Every time it's with different coworkers. The temple. I mean, for me, temples are just, if I happen to go to one, it's by chance. Maybe it's because my family's going there, or because I just happen to walk by and I want to go take a look at it. But as far as going to the Grand Palace or the Wat Po or Wat Arun, something like that, I have no desire to go to these places because I've just been there many times. And after a while, you go to a temple, and most of the temples are very similar. Some of them are, can be quite different, but the majority are very similar. So it's like you go to one temple, and then you're like, all right, I'm done. Now what? Maybe if you're religious and you're into the religious aspect of it, or you're into temples, I guess, that's one thing. But, for me, the days of me going to temples is pretty much over. I'm not sure where I'm going to go next, where the next stream will be from. And I'm not sure if it's going to be on Sunday or it's going to be on Friday. I don't know. My kids are coming back on Friday. So if they're coming back in the morning, I won't stream. If they're coming back in the night, maybe I will. But if I go out, I'm going to have to go somewhere. Just roll with it most of the time. Two prices are so negligible. I just pay for the huge difference. If it's a huge difference, I move on. To do is go once unless you're going. Yeah, I mean, but like over the years, I've had friends come, people that I've that they know they're friends of my family or whatever, and everybody wants to come and see different stuff, but like after a while, I mean, I've been to Jim Thompson's house probably 5 times. It doesn't change all that much. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's always interesting, but it's like I've been to Kanchanaburi more times than I can count. I mean, so, but there is always new stuff to find. That's the whole thing. That's the beauty of Thailand, is that there are always new things to see and do. You'll never get through this whole country. It just won't happen, And if you get bored with it, you do what I do, which is I get out of Dodge and go somewhere else. Vietnam. Vietnam, Indonesia, Cambodia. I need my back cracked. Yeah, I don't know about hundreds, but my fair share. What is this here? Okay, so yeah, so it's where is this? He's 22-9 now. I hope he does all right. My guy is fighting, it looks like tomorrow. He's fighting for the IBF Super. What is he fighting for? I don't know if he's fighting for the title. Huh. Interesting. Do I have any interest in visiting Malaysia? A little bit. It depends though. It just depends on the timing. One of the things, I've got a few things to take care of here before I can go anywhere, and I'm almost done. But I was thinking about taking a train somewhere. I was thinking about going back to Vietnam, but my kid's he wanted to go to Phuket and train. So he's not going with me, and then he's going to have to start school. And then I've been thinking about taking a train somewhere, and I thought, well, where do I want to go? And I do like taking the train from Bangkok down through Malaysia to Singapore, and then from Singapore I could go into Indonesia. I was thinking about that. It's relatively inexpensive. It doesn't take all that much time. And I've done it before, and it's pretty cool to do. But maybe I would stop and stay a couple days in Malaysia. I don't know. There are some places, some beaches and stuff in Malaysia I'd like to go to. But I have more interest in Indonesia and Vietnam, even Laos. Now I'm starting to think about that a little bit. But and then there's still some places in Myanmar I want to go. But, I don't know. I have to check on whether these places are open now or not. Because, sometimes they're open, sometimes they're not. The last time I was talking to Nanda in Myanmar, he was like, no, they're closed. So, what is that? Must be the dog. I gotta take care of a dog, kid's dog. He likes to bang up against the door. Anyway, yeah, I mean, So, the dual pricing thing, I mean, for the most part, I understand the government doing it. But what happens is it filters down to the smaller businesses. And I don't always think that that's right. Yeah, I don't think that that's right. But, they're going to do what they want to do, and it pays for you if if you don't care. If it's only $1 or $2, then it's not usually a big deal. But if it's, you're paying $20 instead of instead of 2 rather, that's kind of, a bit extreme. Know what I'm saying? Anyway. Where's this other thing here? I'll have to put the link down. Once we're done with the stream, I'll put the link in the description for people to this one particular page about Thai language. Anyway. Alvin, when are you coming back? If you're still here. Anybody coming over here soon? I've met with a couple of people in the last week. One guy saw me at You Hunt We Cook, and it turned out his father was into You Hunt We Cook. He really liked the place. Not because of me, but just he liked the place. And so he highly recommended. Well, Araiwa is, like, what the fuck? It's not a nice way of saying, like, Araina, like, what was that? Versus Araiwa, like, what the fuck? Yeah, I used to mess with a couple of people. I used to go, nah, like I was gonna say it, and then I go, nah, just to, it's kind of like if you are in Isan, you'll hear people talking to each other early in the morning. And then you'll hear somebody say something to somebody, and you'll hear or the other day I heard the two ladies, the two Quintio ladies, talking to one another, and one of the ladies was just like which is very impolite, but among friends it's acceptable. So if you ever say to somebody, you may get corrected. Oh, my supap, oh, it's not polite to speak that way. And then, like what I used to do when I first heard it was I'd be like, cop. So I put a little polite phrase at the end. And, So the language really helps. And what I think is that there's a hell of a lot of people who, they have many experiences here in Thailand, but because of their lack of knowledge of the language and lack of knowledge of the culture, whether they've been here for 1 year. I mean, I got a buddy who's been here 25 years. He probably speaks 5 words of Thai, and that's it. And he doesn't want to speak any Thai. But he doesn't care about the culture. All he cares about is that he lives here on a pension. He's got money. He's okay. Everything's fine. Where he goes, he either brings his girlfriend along with him, or the people are capable of speaking English. So that's his life. That, for me, that's not really what I wanted, and that's why, just about anywhere I go, I at least learn how to say hello, goodbye, thank you, how much, words like that. Or, like with my kids sometimes will go, yeah, and I go, that's not very nice. Don't say yeah. Yeah. Just say yes. It's much more polite. And, in a culture that is built upon politeness and reverence to the elders, if you go to some older woman and you're just like, and she's like, are you okay today? She's gonna look at you and be like, ugh. It like Richard says, it distinguishes people and low class people from people who are what Thais would consider a little more upper class. Although once in a while you'll hear, you'll hear some Thai girl, and she's a nice Thai girl or whatever. She's a good Thai chick or whatever, and you may hear her say, like, what? But she might be talking to herself or to a friend. This is the thing. When you're talking to people most of the time anything goes. You're talking to your coworkers. That's a different story. And like I said, Bruce is in here, and he's working with a Thai company, so he knows there's certain protocols, certain guidelines, boundaries that you don't cross. There's a whole. That's why there's books, many books on doing business in Thailand, how you deal with your staff, and you tend not to yell and scream at your staff like some people in the United States might do. Where you yell at somebody. That stuff doesn't fly here. Japanese say, nah, short A sound. Nah. Well, yeah, Thais do too. Yeah, it can be used too much. Chai. Oh, chai. No. I mean, you just don't hear, you might hear chai, and then that's about it. I mean, you might hear it said once or twice. A lot of times people, ka, cup. I don't hear it nearly as much as cup and cup poem. So, kind of interesting. But I think that all these things that we've been talking about, these phrases and these approaches to life, the whole Mipe and Rai attitude and mentality, and Jayen Yen, and Sanuk, and what was the other one? Mipe and Rai, Jayen Yen, Sanuk, Greng Jai, but you don't hear people talking about that very often. You hear, Mipe and Rai, you hear that all the time. You hear Jayen Yen all the time. But all these things are what differentiate people who are tourists and who just, they scratch the surface. And, if you're a tourist, I mean, listen, how much can you learn in, say, a week or two? If you come 20 times, obviously you're going to pick some stuff up. But if it's your first or second trip and you learn 2 or 3 words and you get it down, okay, great, you're trying. But most people who are tourists, like if I went to Italy, I would learn a few words of Italian, but I wouldn't be speaking fluent Italian. So I probably would never really get to know Italian culture. If I moved there, I would start to learn it and start to try to learn more about it, you know. And then if I didn't like the culture, I would leave. But I do like Thai culture. Well, yeah, I mean, even just learning how to say hello and goodbye or thank you, that goes a long way. However, if you live here, I think it's very important that you have some kind of grasp of the language and are capable of communicating. And it's just my own belief, but I believe that the more you learn about how to conduct yourself in their culture and what is acceptable and what's not, and how to deal with people and interact with people on a daily basis. Like I've seen guys before. This is very simple. This is a simplistic explanation, but I've seen a guy come. He was an older guy, maybe 50, 55, something like that. Knew nothing about Thailand at all. And we were out at a restaurant. I've seen this happen many times, but we were out at a restaurant. This one particular guy, we were out at a restaurant, and he liked the waitress. She was very cute. She's very nice and very polite. Oh, Jesus, Gennaro. You're asking questions. Basically, the higher the why, the higher the status of the person you're whying. And you only why people when there's certain times you why and certain when you don't. But anyway, let me get back to my story. And so this guy, he really liked the girl. And he enjoyed her interaction with him, trying to talk to her. And so she came back and he grabbed her hand. And he was going to say, thank you so much for such good service. And, hey, I'm just wondering, would you like to go out? But he grabbed her hand and she just went, ah! She freaked out. She was like, ah! And then she pulled back, and I go, hey, man, you can't, that's not cool. You don't just touch somebody that you don't know here. That's really something that, is frowned upon. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's kind of polite anyway, if you think about it. I don't know how much that has to do with Thai culture, but, if you're flicking out the food from your mouth with a toothpick like this, it's kind of nasty. But if you cover it up and nobody can see, And then there's the whole, which I said this the other day, when there's a couple of people standing there and you have to walk in between them, you dip down, you bend down, and you go. That's a form of showing respect and being courteous. There's all kinds of things. And so that's why I'm saying, Thailand, I always say this, but Thailand is like, Thai culture is like an onion. Or actually, it's more like a jawbreaker or a Tootsie Roll pop, where you just keep going and going and going and going, and there's always more information. It's okay for some people. And I've seen some really good-looking women picking their nose, and it was such a turnoff, Gotta turn this air off, man. But yeah, there's a lot of little subtle aspects to the culture that I think are very important, and I think that it takes a long time to learn them. And I think that once you start to get to the place where you start to understand a little bit about the spirituality of the Thais and how they conduct themselves. I'm not talking about the religious aspect. Yeah, well, that's lovely, isn't it? But I'm just talking about their own personal spirituality and how they deal with people tends to be what I think is different than, say, Westerners. No, they pick their nose everywhere. I mean, like I said, I've seen some really good-looking women, and I've thought to myself, oh, wow, she's exceptional looking, and then boom, the finger goes in the nose, and You know, never seen that fidelity. Never seen that. All my years here, I've never seen anybody do that. Oh. I know it's in some higher levels of society that people will give the food to their dogs first and let them test it out to make sure they're not going to be poisoned. But I've never ever seen anybody like test out a portion of rice to make sure that it's okay. Never have I seen that. Maybe it's something that took place or it takes place among certain groups of people. I don't know, but and this is something else. Now that I'm thinking about it, what about all the misconceptions that people have of Thailand? For instance, every Thai girl is a whore. That's just not true, I mean, if you want to make that case, you might as well just say, well, every woman is a whore. I mean, if that's how you want to think. But to say that every Thai woman is, promiscuous or whatever, it's not true. And so, there's a misconception. Or that all Thais are going to cheat you. Or, it's ridiculous most of the time. Or like the police. Oh, all the police, they're corrupt. Well, what you consider corruption might be considered something completely different here. But there are many good cops here who would, when it comes down to what's right and what's wrong and who's doing something, they will side with the person who's right, not the person who's wrong. They'll side with the law. If there's a way not to, then maybe they'll flout that. Is that the word? I just found out the other day, there used to be across the street, there's a lady who sells soup. She sells kuitiao. She sells kuitiao mu. And the other lady sells chicken. And so when we first moved here, there was the lady who runs the stall. Her son lives here with his wife and their daughter. Really cute little girl. And, the grandmother just doted on her. And then I saw them, bringing her to like school every day and everything. And then all of a sudden I just stopped seeing the kid, and I was like, what happened? And the one lady across the street said, oh, the mother, she left. She took the kid with her. So for whatever reason, they broke up. I don't know why. But they did, which was kind of shocking to me. Such a cute little girl, too. But these things happen. So, anyway... Anybody else have anything to add? Just so everybody knows, and I'm sure that most people here already know. Let me see here. Don't forget to click the like button. The next stream's either going to be on this Friday or Sunday. I'm not sure where I will go or what I will do, but I have a long list of places, and I'm just considering where to go. Thank you everybody for watching. Thanks again to all my Patreon patrons and my VIP website members, all those who have contributed by Super Chat or PayPal. There are links in the description, all kinds of links in the description. Visit my website. Sign up for the forum. If you haven't already, pick up one of my books. Get an American in Bangkok t-shirt, mug, whatever. And yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So, anybody else? Thank you, Dre. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Let me see something here. Boy, they're really active about something out there. I don't know what they're doing. Yapping about something. All right, well, I guess it's time to go then. Without further ado. So thank you very much for joining me. I need to get back outside. I got some stuff to do. Places to go, people to see. That's with Mrs. Palm. That's from me to you, for me to know and you to find out. Actually, you don't need to find out. Ciao, Kevin. They'll be back on Friday. But today is Alex's birthday, his 18th birthday. I don't know if he really views it as a big deal. I do. For me, it's a monumental. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a milestone. Am I at 60 push-ups yet? No, I did 39 yesterday. I've got to do 41 today. And then I get a rest day, which is good because I had a hard time doing the 39 yesterday. But I do feel it. I am feeling much more fit from all the walking and the calisthenics and the push-ups that I've been doing. I'm starting to feel good again. And Fidelity, I have gone off the wagon a few times with the diet. But for the most part, I've really stuck to it. But, I've veered when I shouldn't have veered. And, I feel good, man, Some guy wrote the other day, he was just a troll. He was asking, why is it that nobody is sweating? Why is nobody sweating outside and you're always sweating and you're huffing and puffing? Well, first of all, I'm not really huffing and puffing, but like what I see most of the time is I see people walking like to and from somewhere. And so they're walking for maybe 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I'm walking for 4 or 5 hours. Try walking in 4 or 5 hours in 100-degree heat that the heat index is like 115 or 118. Try doing that. Let's see how you feel. I mean, and then the thing is that I'm not getting any younger. So, I'm not going to use that as an excuse or anything. But like I look at it like I'm not 21. I'm almost 57. So that means I'm closing in on 60 real fast. And so for me to be able to do all these push-ups and do some of the things that I've done, and Billy, not the moderator, we're going to have to plan some trip from Chiang Rai to Chiang Mai. We're going to have to walk it. I think we can do it. So, anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much. What's going on over here? Have to find out what's going on over here across the street. All kinds of people floating around now. So, anyway, that's all I got. So, until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. And I wasn't playing any music today for a reason. Is it going to work? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm playing non-copyrighted music. I don't feel like dealing with it right now. Yeah, I feel good. Feel good, feel healthy, feel strong. It's taken me a long time to feel better. Anyway,